Talks are underway between Transnet and the unions amid a wage strike. Two senior CCMA commissioners have been appointed to facilitate talks. Transnet and the unions Satawu and UNTU could not find each other at the bargaining council following the Labour Court's move to dismiss Transnet urgent application on Friday to halt the strike action. The unions are calling for a 12 to 13% wage increase, while the employer is only offering 4%. Both unions are in agreement that they will not accept anything less than the current inflation rate, which is sitting at 7.6%. Some of the union members gathered outside the Port Elizabeth, as well as the Port of Ngqura in Gqeberha today.
We feel that the 1.5 or the 3% that is being offered by the company, it's an insult to the workers. Transnet is making money. Transnet has been bailing out other state-owned companies. We want the strike. We want workers to get what is due to them, what benefits them.
We were mandated from the members that anything above the inflation rate. So we won't be coming out if the company say no, 5%. We know our mandate was 7.6% and above. Remember, we originally started at 13.5%. The members are also now a little bit back down to say, okay, inflation rate and above, but nothing less than that.
Well, for more on this story, let's cross now to SABC News reporter Katlego Legodi. Very good afternoon, Katlego. We spoke to you earlier, but I do understand you did have managed to speak a little bit with the Minister of Employment and Labour, Thulas Nxesi. What did he have to say?
Most definitely, Nompu, this is a high-level talks in terms of those meetings that are going on here on the ground. They are marathon talks that started early in the morning. This is where that Section 150 of the Labour Relations Act is just being ventilated here on the ground in terms of just bridging this impasse that exists between the workers' unions, UNTU and Satawu, and the employer, that being Transnet. We saw that most of them just pushing for the picketing of rules, or the picketing rules really to be structured here on the ground, just to give way for this demonstration that is on the ground. We've seen a lot of stakeholders and entity calling for this impasse here on the ground to be bridged. You can imagine that we are talking in essence of millions that are being lost on the ground as this impasse continues. I'm just going to bring into the conversation now the Minister of Labour and Employment, this being Minister Thulas Nxesi, who'll just be joining us this afternoon. We're seeing that government has also taken a keen interest in terms of what is happening here on the ground at the bargaining council, and you are here, Minister, on behalf of government to just form part of these proceedings here today. Let's spin really on government's role here today.
Well, as Minister of Employment and Labour, who's responsible for ensuring that labour relations is encouraged and is done in a proper way, I'm here to ensure that and give a message to all the parties who are here that the workers, in terms of our constitution, they have the right to withdraw their labor. And also that is balanced by the right of the employer to look out, and also with no work, no pay. But I've indicated that it's disappointing that we've not been able to reach an agreement, because a strike in this particular sector has a huge impact on the economy as a whole. In fact, the damage it can do is incalculable. And all I'm urging them is that whether strike or no strike, but the solution is going to come out of the engagement. And we're looking forward that we've made 3 commissioners available through the CCMA to come and be able to deal with this, because you know that it will be too destructive on our economy. Our economy, which is in any case weak at this stage, is trying to recover in terms of the exports and so on. So it was just an appeal. I will be monitoring this. We are speaking with the Minister of the Public Enterprises, Minister Pravin Gordhan, and we will ensure that there must be a resolution out of this, but it must be through the engagement. And we've said to them, as much as they have that power, that great power goes with great responsibility. So they need to understand that they are representing thousands of workers. But on the other side, the employer needs also to understand that the cost of living has gone high as a result of a number of issues. But it must be a balancing act because we're also trying to grow the economy.
I mean, coming to that, the issue of the economy, and we saw this company, Transnet, moving to enforce that force majeure process that would shield them from taking responsibility where any losses are incurred by the customers where this impasse is concerned. What is your reaction really to that process of the force majeure that really exempts the company from taking responsibility, looking really at an economy that has not been doing well for quite some time?
I would not say much on that. What I can say, that's why we want the strike to be resolved as soon as possible. If it can be resolved today, if there can be an engagement until the early hours of the morning, so be it, because we don't want to enter into all these particular discussions which might have serious legal implications. And our view is that we can be able to. The unions and the employer can be able to settle if they are serious on these engagements. That's what we are appealing for. But we will leave all these other legalities to the people who are affected.
And the economy, it hasn't done well for quite some time, and we're seeing that economists really pointing to this being something that would decimate the entire sector, that would decimate the entire economic reconstruction and recovery that is underway. What do you make of all of that? Looking at the fact that we've just come back from the backdrop of COVID-19, there was this July unrest where a whole lot of sectors were concerned or more or less affected by that, and this strike at Transnet cutting across various sectors. What is your reaction to that?
I think all of us need to understand that prior to COVID, our economy was already in recession. We had lost about 1 million jobs. Come COVID, because of the shutdown, we lost 2 million jobs. The violence in KZN, we further lost jobs. So everybody needs to understand that our economy is only now starting to recover. And if there are further disruptions, we are not going to be able to recover as we want. But we can say that the economy is starting to recover. What is key? It's stability. That's why whenever there are these disputes, we must quickly come in and use the dispute resolving mechanisms so that these are not protracted disputes in order not to impact negatively to the economy, because whether we like it or not, they are going to impact negatively on the economy, but we must minimize that disruption.
Will we see you just giving suggestions or taking part in this high-level discussions that are underway at the Bargaining Council just to try and bridge this impasse? I know you said you're going to be talking to Minister Pravin Gordhan as this falls under his portfolio or his department, but right now, right here, will we be seeing you just offering a message just to just really convince both parties to put an end to this strike action?
We will be here. We will be getting the reports from the commissioners, and we don't want to disrupt this conciliation. The people with the right skills are doing that, but we are an interested party to ensure that the strike is resolved.
Labour and Employment Minister Thulas Nxesi, thank you very much, sir, for your time this afternoon, coming through to just give us a sense of their role here. This is a high-level meeting. You had him there saying that already they had roped in 3 commissioners, senior commissioners, that is from the CCMA. 2 of those commissioners are here actively participating in those high-level talks to bridge this impasse between the employer and more or less the unions on the ground. But we're also hearing that the strike action really continuing in some parts of the country as those high-level talks continue just to try to bridge this impasse. The unions really not moving from their 12 to 13% wage offer, or what they've put on the table, and the employer stagnant on that 4%. But it remains to be seen really if these talks here will materialize in really a response that would bridge or see an end to this strike action. Nampu?
Very much, my colleague there, Katlego Legodi.